Today I would like to talk a little about EFT. Many people have heard about it, Emotional Freedom Technique. You can see it many places on YouTube, the internet. Many different people practice it. And the reason why I'm wanting to represent it to you today is because I see that many vaguely tap here and there, and it doesn't really feel like that they've been taught or that they understand the deeper connection of the meridian points, their meaning, their psychological, physiological meaning. And so I thought it would be a good idea to go through them and take you through one of those tapping adventures from beginning to end, and then explain also what the points are. Some technique or meridian tapping begins with something like even though, and that refers to something that is painful emotionally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, however you want to put it. It's either painful or traumatic or traumatizing in this present moment. So you take any event, feeling, memory, and you go to that place, and that is the recipe, or that is the prescription. You actually have to go to the experience, to the memory, and you could say, even though I was in a car accident and it really scared me and I felt terrified when we were driving towards that obstacle, and I knew that the crash would ensue, and I was very fearful for my body. So this is the beginning piece, and I just gave you a car crash, but it could have been a situation with a beloved one, an argument, a fight, anything you want, anything that has occurred, a physical ailment, whatever you think about. And it always starts with, even though I have this, I know about this, it is here with me. And with this first statement, we're tapping quite vigorously, as opposed to sort of like that. We tap vigorously on a small intestine point, which would be this one, and on a large intestine point, and it would be this one. And the reason we tap on these points is that the small intestine has to do with separating the pure from the impure. That's from the classic Chinese text, but the translation is to have discriminating wisdom and to have the ability to make a decision. So we're tapping on that. And the second point, the large intestine, has to do, this is called Hegu, and it's a point to do with pain management. It alleviates headaches, all sorts of body pains, and also has to do with letting go. Yeah? So we have the idea of having discriminating wisdom, separating the pure from the impure, and the idea of letting go. So we were saying that even though something happened to me, and even though, and now I've moved up to bladder 1 point, here right in the corner of the eyebrow, and as you can see, I'm tapping quite vigorously. Because why? Because I have all these meridians on my fingertips that either begin or end on my fingertips, so I know that a lot of my chi, my life force, my energy runs through my fingers. So by using my tips to tap on acupressure points, I know that I'm activating on several levels. So even though this car accident happened to me, so this is bladder 1, and I was really scared about anything that might happen to me or whoever was sitting in the car, and I was horrified and shocked and traumatized right there in the moment. This is gallbladder 3 point. So gallbladder has to do with courage and decision making. And I'm going to the stomach point, stomach 1 now, and I still tap quite vigorously, even though it's quite below, close to my eye, but it is on the occipital ridge on the bone, right? And I'm tapping here. Stomach meridian obviously has to do with transforming the nutrients. You know, it's your digestive system. And stomach meridian has a long way all the way to the second toe. So even though I've experienced that, and I've experienced tremendous pain and fear and horror in the moment, and this point is on the governing vessel, right here, and it's called Governing 26, and the other translation of the point is Return to Consciousness. So you can see that this is a direct relationship to the brain, to your consciousness, and runs up the back, and the other one runs up the front of the body. So even though I was absolutely horrified and I immediately felt pain physically from the impact of the accident, even though I was so traumatized by it and so frightened. And this is a kidney point, kidney 27, and I've gone a little bit further out. But this whole area, the thymus pump area, is really useful to thump, as it were, because it releases anxiety and tension. So even though I was struck and paralyzed in my fear and terror when my accident happened, I accept what has happened to me. I accept my reaction to it, and I fully am open to trust and love myself just the way I am, with everything that occurs in my life. And I'm doing this on a point called spleen 21. It's 1 hand width under the armpit. It's a little tender, especially in people who tend to ruminate and fantasize a lot and overthink things. This point is a little tender, so you give it a good wallop. It will be good for you. Yeah, it will free you up in a better way. So what I said here is that even though all of this has happened, that I am fully open to love and accept myself just the way I am, and to accept what has happened to me, and I'm ready to shed any trauma and fear that may be left inside of me from that incident. And with that I do the last point, and that's on the top of the head, where the 100 meeting point. So this is a point where 100 meridians, collaterals, they all meet there. It's a very important point. This and that, they very much have to do with your brain and consciousness. And so I fully accept and love myself the way I am. And then I finish. So this is one run through of the whole technique. Emotional freedom technique, meridian tapping technique. And I can tell you from my experience with many of my patients that it's really useful. I have sometimes even done it for somebody else on their behalf, and they could feel it. There is a very good power about this. And sometimes on one particular issue, be it a phobia, a fear, an addiction, a pain, a trauma, whatever it is, you have to do it more than once. Some people spend a fair amount of time tapping their way through life, and it's not a bad way to go. It's not addictive, it's not a drug, it is you healing yourself. And so I personally really promote this technique, and I think it's really wonderful, and it empowers people. It also helps you to understand what you actually felt that you want to change.